What's up, Indies? Welcome to Indies Live Q&A Consult. My name's Circa, if you don't know me, and I'm going to be here for the next 45 minutes about just answering your music marketing questions. So just to get started, we have a few questions that came in via email, and we're going to get started answering those first. If you have any questions about your music marketing, anything you need help with, anything you need help with in terms of building a fan base, developing a product, recording your album, distribution, streaming, getting investment, printing products, where you should host your website, how to advertise your music, how to email market, anything like that, you just enter it in the comments below, and we're here to help you out with any questions that you may have. So real quick, let me just pull up a few questions via email. And first question we got is from Christian, and Christian is a student of ours, and he's wondering, his main question is, what should an artist do between big pushes? What kind of content should I be posting to keep my followers actively interested, even when I don't have a new album or video to promote? And that's a great question. It's something that we've had to go through with a number of different indies. Key example would be, once again, Nino Bless. Nino, we released Audio Trip earlier this year, and then immediately Nino went to work, once we were done promoting that album, creating a centerpiece, basically a place where his audience could gather and interface with him and have an opportunity to talk to him or interact with him in some way. So I told Nino around March of this year, hey man, it'd be great if you had a weekly podcast or a weekly live stream you could be doing to stay connected to your audience. And he started live streaming almost every day. And it really kept the audience, engaged and interactive the whole time that he was, didn't have any content to release. So you want to develop a centerpiece. And if you go to the Indiepreneur Creative Juice podcast, indiepreneur.io/podcasts, and you check out our episode with Steve Palfreyman. Steve of Music Launch Hub, he recommends having a centerpiece, what he calls basically your one thing. So, it might be a YouTube show. It might be that you live stream like Nino. It might be a podcast. It might be a blog. It might be live performances, covers, whatever it is. You need a centerpiece, something that you can do on a weekly or even a daily basis to keep your audience engaged. So that's a great strategy. If you want to check out Music Launch Hub, go to musiclaunchhub.com and request an invitation. Get in there and ask Steve, hey, how do I develop my centerpiece? And he'll help you out. But YouTube's a great strategy, having a weekly YouTube show. It also gives you a reason to email your audience, so you'll be able to frequently keep in contact with them by saying, hey, new content is out, check this out. If you're not a hip hop or a production based artist, I highly recommend doing covers. And even if you are doing covers, covers are a great way you don't have to develop new material, but you can just constantly get in front of your audience. So they're super helpful for keeping your audience engaged in between album cycles. And then also, one other thing that I want to make abundantly clear is that you should keep promoting your album. Even if you're between albums or between releases, you should always be promoting the last thing you did. The only time to stop dropping a bucket down a well is when it doesn't bring up any water. Most people in the world have never heard of your music before. So the audience that's already heard your music, they'll keep promoting it. They'll keep supporting it. It doesn't matter that it came out, 2 or 3 months ago. And we've seen that time and time again. And then also, your audience, they don't get old. They're constantly changing, fluctuating. You're bringing in new audience members. So you don't have to think of an album as too old to promote. You should always be promoting your last release, even between album cycles. So that's the long and short answer to that question. You can either have something you're doing every week to keep in contact with your audience, and live streams are great for that. Podcasts are great for that. Cover series is great for that. A video documentary series is great for that. And then you can also just keep promoting that last album. Keep thinking of new creative ways to get your message out there. It might be sales promotions. It might be free giveaways, anything you can do. So that's that question. We got a few more on email we want to address. So, okay, this person asked, we have Dave here asked, once I've run, we teach the video view campaign strategy in our master course, and he's taken the master course, and he's wondering, once I have run my video view campaign and I've got a bunch of people who have watched a certain percentage of my video, what do I do next? And the next thing that you want to do is always going to involve retargeting. Retargeting is basically any way that you can reach back out to people who have already consumed a bit of your content. So sometimes retargeting involves pixeling people on your website. Sometimes it involves just creating a custom audience of those who have engaged with your page. So there's multiple ways to do that. In Facebook Ads Manager, you go to audiences and then create a custom audience. Now you can either create a custom audience based on people who have visited specific pages on your website. Since you've run a video view campaign, you're going to want to create a custom audience of those who have watched 25% or more of your video. And then you're going to want to run a retargeting advertisement. So only advertise to that custom audience, either a new piece of content, some kind of free offer, like maybe free songs, free music, a chance to interface with you and just give you some feedback on the last song. It can be anything. There's multiple different offers that you can create at that point, but it's always going to involve reaching back out to the people who watched your video. So that's kind of the whole process. We warm people up with the video view campaign, but then we are taking only the people who showed a response and moving them forward. So that's kind of your next step. Your next step is to figure out, what is my audience's next step in the customer journey? What's the next thing I want them to experience? And for me, the best thing that you can do is educate them a little bit on you. So maybe you're running, instead of a music video, a little short featurette about the making of your newest album or how you became an artist. Anything that has to do with a bit of education as to you, not just content anymore, not just music, but also a look behind the scenes and a sort of getting to know you phase. So that's your next step. Another next step that you could use is you could start running free plus shipping and handling offers. We went over that in our podcast that we dropped today. You can go to entrepreneur.io/episode 16. And you can listen to that podcast. We're doing a free webinar on that strategy next week in the Indies group. And you can learn all about how to create a free CD offer for those who have watched a certain percentage of your video. And you can get all the way to first purchase without having to do much in between. But also warming up people is just going to work way better every single time. So those are your options there. You want to either serve another piece of content to that audience who's already watched something. You want to either do that or give them a permission-based offer. So give me your email and I will send you X thing, right? And we talk a lot about permission-based offers in our Indies group right now. We are running a full free training on it. So anyone who's in the Indies group can actually take this whole training for free on how to build your permission offer. But it almost always has to be incredibly valuable, experiential, and it should be exclusive. It should be something that you can't get anywhere else. And so then you're going to want to start getting people onto a list. So you've got people watching your video, that's great. Next step, either get them to understand more about you, get their contact information so you can follow up with them, or get them to take advantage of some kind of special promotion that you're running. So sales, emails, or more information is kind of your next strategy there. So that is that question. We're going to take it back to email and check out what other questions we got. And then also, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. We'll be monitoring those the whole time. Yeah. All right, let's see here. Yeah. No, I know. Okay. Yeah, I want to take it to the Indies group real quick and see if anyone's posted any questions. Right. Great. Yeah, promoting. So we've had a number of questions of this. I don't want to just attribute it to Mark here, but a number of indies have asked, how do I promote an upcoming tour, an upcoming show, right? And we just did this for Nino, and it's something we're still kind of figuring out. But first of all, you need to make sure that if you're running an offer, you need to have a warm audience. So number one, we need some kind of retargetable audience, people who have already consumed a little bit of content or they've heard from us before. We're not complete strangers to them. So once you have your warm audience, either by running video views or whatever, then you can make them an offer. It's okay to make them an offer then because they've heard of you, they're familiar with you. So first we need to get a warm audience. There's multiple ways to do this. You can run video view campaigns. You can run, just link post ads, but we run mostly video views. Videos are how we turn people onto our music. So you have a video view campaign here that's generating you warm audience everywhere, right? Video view campaign is creating this warm audience. Now, normally we have these video view campaigns going all out to interest-based targeting, okay? So we're using specific artists to target fans. So we know that these are fans of music like ours because of the artists that we use to target them with interest targeting, okay? That's usually how we set up our video view campaigns. But what you can do is if you've got a tour coming up in a specific area, you can create an additional ad set that is geographically targeted and then genre. So geo and genre are the two things that you want to look for when targeting for a local kind of offer, something that's location based. So you might target, let's say you've got a show in Toledo, Ohio, and you are a punk artist, right? You might, and this is old school punk, like Ramones, Clash, Dead Kennedys, Misfits kind of stuff. You might target punk or 1980s punk or whatever the interest is that solos out that kind of listener, and then Toledo, Ohio, and maybe a 25 or a 50-mile radius around it. So you're switching your video view campaign from interest-based artist targeting to geographic genre targeting, which is making your warm audience more comprised of people from the location, right? So now you're getting a warm audience of all people who are in the target location, have heard your music, and are the right kind of fan. They listen to the right kind of music for you to remarket to them. So the next thing that you're going to want to do is serve them a retargeting ad, okay? So we've created this custom audience. You might say, I want everyone in Toledo, Ohio, and 25 or 50 miles around who has watched 25% or more of my video. Create that custom audience in Facebook and then run an advertisement to them. Usually best to do is a video ad explaining, hey, I'm coming to your town, order your tickets now and I will give you X bonus. Okay, so you want to have a value-packed offer ready for those geographically targeted fans. So we've got an ad here in Facebook, it's a video ad, and it's running to exactly the right people. That should go over to a landing page, somewhere where you can sell tickets, okay? Now you can create your own, that's what we do, but a lot of you guys don't have a website up yet, or you might not have anything going for you in terms of web assets. So the next best thing is to just have that ad run directly to like an Eventbrite or some kind of ticketing platform where you can sell tickets. It's going to be harder to measure, There's different pixel installations and all this stuff for different, event pages. But that is how I would do it. So we got tickets here. So, great. So basically, you've got your warm audience that's being generated by a video view campaign. If you've taken our master course, you've already got one of these. If not, you're going to have to create one. And instead of targeting specific artists who sound like you're going to limit your geographic targeting to 25 to 50 miles around where you're performing. And then you are going to narrow further by only choosing those who are interested in the genre that you perform in, or multiple different genres. It doesn't matter, but it shouldn't be limited to just a few artists. It should be wide. There should be, from, more than 10 million people in this group. Okay, so if you go and target hip hop, you're going to get like 100 million people. That's more of the kind of targeting that you want to go for when you're targeting geographically. And then you start building that warm audience. So you might do a week of video campaigns where you're targeting geographically the right people, okay? And then you have you should build up about 1,000 people who have watched 25% or more of your video and are in the right area. Then you run them an advertisement with a video of you explaining that you're coming to their area and that they can buy tickets by just clicking on the link. And then you run them to a ticketing landing page. Could be Eventbrite or it could be your own website, depending on how advanced you are in getting all your marketing set up. That is how we would market for a local audience. Now, if you're running video view campaigns, you probably already have some people in the target audience, in the warm audience, who are in the right geographic location. If you've got more than 1,000 people who are in the right location and you've been doing that work and you've already got that good to go, you can skip the warm-up stage and just start retargeting them. But ultimately, the whole goal is to get them to retarget. What's up, Drew? I did sign your Nino album. I also sang on the record, by the way, and we've talked, but that's another story. Local Legend asks, in your experience, what do you think about press releases, blog placements, and PR campaigns overall? Great question. Something that I don't get asked often enough. But I have a lot of really good friends in blog placement and PR. One of them is Dylan Reamer of Filter PR. Great dude. We were in the same artistic fraternity together in college, and he went on to get a lot of connections in the music blog world. He was a music blogger himself. And then he started leveraging those connections to help independent artists and major label artists with their PR. Now, I spent about $3,000 to $4,000 on PR for a single artist and got less results than $100 video ad spend on the same artist. Okay, so my artist got covered in all these awesome blogs. If you go search Dukes, DUX, remote controlled hobbies, you're gonna see that we paid and got placed in a whole lot of blogs. But the problem with blog placement is that it only works one way. There's only one way to get meaningful results from blog placement, and I'll tell you exactly how it happens. You have to be in that blog for like a year, okay? So you have to be constantly coming back up. It takes multiple releases. It takes, just staying at it the whole time until you start to see results from just blog placement. So you have to just keep at it, constantly be on these blogs, okay? And that is a pain in the ass, right? It's very difficult, and it costs a whole lot of money to continue to stay in front of this blog audience. So no blog is ever going to cover, your link. They're going to link to SoundCloud, maybe link to your video, but they're not going to get people to opt in or give you their email address or like you on Facebook. They're not even going to direct people to do that most times. So you have no follow-up. You have no opportunities to follow up with the people who saw that blog article. So that's number one. With every marketing channel that we recommend, you need to be able to follow up with your audience. The only reason that marketing your music is going to ever be profitable is if you're not losing people as soon as you gain them. And that's a huge thing that took me forever and so much money to realize, is that it's all about the follow-up. It's all about the digits, man. Can I get that contact info so that I can stay in touch with you? Otherwise, I can't possibly develop a relationship with my audience. I'm never going to know more about them. I'm never going to know what they like and don't like. I'm never going to get to talk to them directly, and I'm never going to get to offer them anything that is based on their own opinion. So follow-up is the most important thing in music marketing. Any platform that doesn't allow you to follow up is a suboptimal platform, because you have Facebook, you have Twitter, you have email. These are all platforms that allow you to constantly follow up with your audience and stay there with them. If you can't do that, why the fuck would you want to be on that platform in the first place? And that's why it took me a long time to realize this, but SoundCloud kind of sucks. SoundCloud sucks because as a platform, it doesn't allow you a whole lot of opportunities for follow-up. You may have 3,000 followers on your SoundCloud, and your only hope of getting back in front of their eyes is to post a song at the time that they're on the platform. Because if you post it like a week before they go back on the platform, you're not going to get in front of their eyeballs. That's not going to happen. So it's incredibly important to realize that SoundCloud as a platform, and then furthermore, just getting placed on a blog, does not allow you to follow up with your audience. That's number one, is the complete lack of follow-up makes blog placements very, very expensive for the result you're getting. You know, you're not getting a whole lot of fans that you can call fans and follow up with them and do something with. So it's kind of a waste. Number two, a blog audience is not your audience, okay? No matter how much you try to tailor your music or your sound or your vibe to a blog is an audience in flux. A blog is what's hip right now, what's current, and that's always changing. Now, as a punk fan, I don't care if blogs are covering the Misfits or not. I'm going to listen to the Misfits because I love the Misfits, right? That's never going to change. They have that follow-up path with me always. But if I'm looking at blogs and the Misfits come up and I'm not already into the Misfits, there's no guarantee that I'm going to be a lifelong fan, because I'm just on that blog to see what's current. I'm not on that blog to see what am I going to treasure for the rest of my life. And a blog's audience is just constantly changing, so you're never going to be a perfect match for them. And the reason that that's kind of a major problem is that, sorry, I just got another question. The reason that that's a major problem is because right now we have the most advanced ad targeting in history. Right now, you can select exactly the right kind of listener and advertise to them. Now, you might pay Facebook to get to the right kind of listener, or you might pay a PR person to get you on the right kind of blog. Facebook's always going to kick the shit out of blogs in terms of how targeted it is. You know, a blog audience is not your targeted audience. They're not very specifically targeted. Same reason why companies aren't rushing, beating down the doors to pay for newspaper advertising or magazine advertising. Businesses are using Facebook ads right now. En masse. We went from 3 million advertisers to 5 million on Facebook in the last 2 years. Okay? That's a huge increase. And the reason that it's just going crazy right now is because it's so targeted. It's so reliable. You can get to the right people always. So you should do the exact same thing that businesses are doing. Abandon pre-packaged audiences like blogs, like television, right? Abandon that and go for your audience, your niche, because there's a lot less noise when you're talking to the right person than if you're talking to everybody. And that's how marketing is just changing so much, and why all marketing is becoming more like direct response marketing is because we're in an era where you can find your audience. You don't have to speak to everybody anymore. You can speak to a select target market, okay? Like Indepreneur. We speak only to independent musicians. We wouldn't be able to do that if it weren't for the modern platforms that we have at our fingertips. So blog placements have their place. PR campaigns have their place. And one of my best friends in the entire world is a professional PR guy, one of the best. And when you are ready to have a massive launch, or you're looking for, a major booker or a major label to scoop you up, or if you know that you're going to get the result that you want out of this campaign. If you actually pay for the placement, it is because you need that placement, not because you need an audience. That's when you go for blog placement. When you are playing in the big leagues, you're putting all your stock behind a release and you want to give it that extra juice, then go for blog placement. In any other case, Facebook ads, man. Facebook fucking ads, dude, is what I recommend. It's really make hay while the sun shines, okay? It's not going to be like this forever. This is a once in history kind of opportunity to take advantage of these social platforms. So make hay while the sun shines, because mid this year, and we're very, very close to it, Facebook is going to run out of inventory. The ad costs are going to go up. It's all changing rapidly. So jump on it now and save blog placement for later when there isn't such a gangbusters opportunity with targeted advertising. So thank you, Local Legend, for that question. Now moving on to Christian Joseph. Said, for a video release, if our warm audience is 20K, what is the most cost-effective way to market to them? What's up, Steve? How's it going, man? We just we're singing your praises in here, actually. So Christian asks, for a video release, if our warm audience is 20K, what is the most cost-effective way to market to them? Now, I don't know specifically what you mean, Christian. You either mean we have 20K Facebook likes or 20K people who have already watched some video, and now we have another video to release, or we have 20K warm audience and now we want to follow up with them. I'm not sure which one you mean. If you mean how do we follow up with people, what is the next step after you get your warm audience from your video view campaign, we went over that a little bit earlier in this live stream, so you can come back and check the repost. But basically, there's 3 things you can do. You can either get the email, you can either get the sale, or you can get them a little more info about yourself. So my tried and true strategy, what I always do is I'm making sure there's multiple touch points before I ask for an email, before I ask for contact info. I'm not going to ask someone who just started listening to my music to give me their email. It's a bit too pushy. It's a bit douchey. So what I would do is make sure, validate that person, serve them a follow-up video, or get them on a ManyChat sequence. And if you're in the Indiepreneur Indies group, you can go and check out our free ManyChat training right now. If you just search ManyChat in the Indies group, you're going to get a free 18-lesson training that we just put out for free because we want you guys to be able to build your music bots. And music bots is how we educate people who have watched some of our videos. So we're mostly focusing on, video view campaign first, and then a ManyChat sequence that delivers some free songs, tells them more about ourselves, and allows us to actually enter the conversation and start talking to them directly. Me, Dukes, Nino, Palmer, and all of our indies, all of our students, we're talking to people on a daily basis who are interested. So ManyChat allows you to do that. And then from ManyChat, then we go for the email. And we're also giving away another free training in the Indies group right now. If you search Indiepreneur Indies and request access to the group, we are running a free audit of our upcoming Indie Pro membership. So we're launching a membership program later on this year, and all of the training going into it, the Indies are getting for free in the group right now. So right now we're running how to build your permission offer. And that's where you get the email. You want to have a really compelling offer. You don't just want to be like, hey, here's a few of my songs, just put in your email. That doesn't build much of a relationship. It's kind of a crappy offer. I would not even musicians I like would I give my email for a few free downloads. Where am I going to put them? All my music comes in on Spotify, right? I probably am not going to do that. So you got to make it more enticing than that. And that whole training goes over how to build your permission offer and make it really cool. And Drew Kirby knows. Drew Kirby was on the audio trip, and the audio trip was fucking cool, man. It was so tight. Just experiencing it from the point of view of making it and going through it, it was so cool to talk to all those people. So you want to create a platform with your email offer that is really cool and allows you a chance to talk to and develop a relationship with your audience. But that's the next step, is you either want to educate them a little more, give them another touch point, another piece of content, or you want to get the email address. And then a final strategy is you can get the sale, which is you might run a sales promotion. Like for Nino right now, we're giving away free CDs. Nino literally bought 100 of our own CDs to give away to his fans. And that is a sale that's easy to make. You just have to pay shipping, and then we're giving away the CD for free. And people who have just watched a little bit of your video, if they liked it enough, they'll take that offer. That you don't need a whole lot of warming up for a free plus shipping and handling CD. So that is another strategy that you can use for those 20K. And then another thing that you can do with them, and that you should always do, is you want to stack audiences. So any new video that you have, run as an ad set in that video campaign your warm audience, and make sure that they're getting another touch from that video. So don't always run videos to cold traffic. Once you're building that warm audience, continue to nurture it with every video you release, every post you release. Give them a little bit of love, let them warm it up, and let them experience that other touch point. So that's that. All right, and then I'm going to go back to email. Unless anyone has any questions in this group, I'd be happy to answer them. But right now we're going to go back to email to grab another question. Distribution, yeah, great. That's a great question. Yeah, let me find it though. All right, John asks, how should I distribute my music? Should I go through TuneCore, DistroKid, what have you? And then how do I get people onto my streaming list? How do I get people to follow me on Spotify? And then, number one, how do I get my music onto Spotify? So this is a great question, and something I've been going over a lot with a good buddy of mine, Ian Tunstall of So Missed Empire. So Ian is a good buddy of mine, has a lot of connections with European distributors. So he knows a lot of the high-level distributors, the people who are putting out your music onto Spotify, onto Apple Music, onto iTunes, dedicated. Hold on one second. Are we good? We're getting a little bit of trouble with the stream. Are we dead? Are we dead? Okay, we're good. We're golden, right? That's live? Sorry about that, guys. We had a little bit of dead air there for a second. But yeah, so getting your music on Spotify is actually, sorry about that. Getting your music on Spotify is pretty easy. You can just sign up with any distributor. There is TuneCore, DistroKid. There's a few others. TuneCore is pretty expensive. If you're going to pay an aggregator to get onto streaming platforms, the number one way is to thanks, Brian. The number one way is to use DistroKid. DistroKid allows you to upload as much music as you want for your band page for the whole year for $20 a year. Okay, you're not going to find an aggregator that's better than that. That is the best that you can possibly get from an aggregator. And then number two, so first of all, if you're going to pay somebody to do it, pay DistroKid. Don't pay TuneCore. TuneCore is not going to. I mean, TuneCore likes to say, "Oh, we'll get you all these opportunities, and you'll be hand selected for all this." It's not going to happen. I mean, chances are it's not going to happen. I don't trust TuneCore with $40 per song or some shit like that, where I could just pay DistroKid $20 a year. It doesn't seem like a good value proposition for me. And then when it comes to a private aggregator, like the ones that Ian works with, what you can do is start releasing your music on DistroKid, start getting your music out onto Spotify, and then start driving traffic to it. So promote to your family and friends, promote to your existing fans, and make it your centerpiece. Get as much traffic as you can to Spotify. And then once you have respectable numbers, once you're getting 200 or more daily listeners, and you got an active, engaged audience, then you can take your next release and go contact the Orchard, which is the U.S. like private aggregator, or Believe in Europe. Believe is an international aggregator for distribution. And you go and contact these outlets, and then you go and look at other artists that your audience on Spotify likes, which you can check out on your artist page on Spotify for artists. So once you've claimed your artist page, you can check out that info and find some people who have gotten pretty freaking big off of Spotify, who have gained a lot of fans recently. And then you go to their page on Spotify. I know this is getting a little bit complex, but you go to their page on Spotify, and then you figure out which playlists they got placed on. So you can look at featured on these playlists for these new artists, and you'll see which playlists help them get big. And then you go to your distributor, Orchard or Believe, and you say, hey, I want you to use your label services to help me release this next song and get it on these playlists. And that's what these private aggregators are really, really good at. They have great label services, better than TuneCore, I guarantee you. And they're going to actually actively try to get you on those playlists. And once you get on those playlists, then you start blowing up. I think we got Dukes on some Brazilian EDM playlists early this year, and I can show you the traffic spike. I mean, it is nuts how much this playlist contributed to his daily active listeners. I mean, literally, like, it's huge. So getting on playlists is the number one strategy on Spotify. And if you're on Spotify through a private aggregator, like DistroKid or TuneCore or whatever, your next step is going to be get your numbers right, figure out which playlist you want to target, and then approach the Orchard or Believe in Europe if you're an overseas artist. What about CD Baby and 1RPM? I stand using them both physical. You don't need CD Baby for physical distribution. I mean, I love CD Baby. Their DIY musician blog is one of the tightest things for independent musicians in a long, long time. So I'm all for CD Baby as a company. I have friends who used to work there. I have family who was heavily involved with them. And some of my peers in the independent music industry are also still pretty heavily involved with them. But CD Baby is not something you need for physical distribution. And getting featured on CD Baby's store might have been like super tight at one point, but it's no longer like going to be a bastion of sales and success. Okay, you're just going to be one of hundreds of others, and if you don't have any personal promotion strategy, then you're not going to get results. And if you do have a personal promotion strategy, then you're basically just giving CD Baby some of your money for whatever reason. So what we do instead is we hit up a printing company. My favorite is Bison Disc in Orlando, Florida, because I can just walk on down and pick up the package, and I don't have to pay for shipping, 1,000 CDs, which is really expensive. So choose a local printer to print your CDs. Get some digipacks made. You'll pay about $1.20 per CD if you print 1,000, and get 1,000 printed. Save up the money because it's not worth the margin to pay $3 per CD because you didn't have the money to get 1,000 printed. So save up, get 1,000 printed, and then offer them on your own e-commerce store. We have we have Shopify, we have Ecwid, we have ClickFunnels, we have lead pages, we have, WordPress cart functionality. And you're a friggin' independent musician. You figured out how to make music out of nothing. You figured that out using only your resourcefulness and the internet. You can surely figure out how to set up an e-commerce page. I know tons of people successful in e-commerce that couldn't figure out a musical instrument or how to write a song if their lives depended on it, okay? So just because you're a creative person doesn't mean you need to bow out to platforms, okay? If some platform is promising you, hey, we'll handle your e-commerce for musicians, this is a crap platform. Number one, and not to say CD Baby is crap. CD Baby is awesome and all, but any platform that is just targeting independent musicians is not the best at the thing they do. So it's not a very large market, okay? So you can assume that if there's a big company and they're like, we do Facebook advertising for independent musicians, right? What they're telling you is, you don't have the wherewithal to figure out Facebook advertising, and we know a little bit about it, so use our platform to call Facebook's API, okay? Or if you're using CD Baby to sell your CDs, they're basically saying, hey, you don't have the wherewithal to create an e-commerce platform, even though literally hundreds of people do it every single day. So just give us a percentage and we'll handle it all for you. But they're not like the experts at e-commerce. You can go learn from one of the experts at e-commerce and set up your own e-commerce store. So I don't recommend giving your money to CD Baby. That's just not what I would do. If it really is that overwhelming for you, if you don't know where to start, and what I said to you about printing CDs and setting up your own shopping cart doesn't make any sense, then maybe, yeah, go with CD Baby. I personally would not give another platform a bit of my profit margin to handle something that hundreds of regular folks like me handle every day. Not to mention that since you're a creative person, you're probably more capable than most people. So I wouldn't do it. 1 RPM I've never heard of, but if they cost more than $20 a year for unlimited uploads, I would use DistroKid, because DistroKid only costs $20 a year for unlimited uploads. You can upload unlimited amounts of music to DistroKid for $20 a year. So that's pretty tight to me. I can't think of any cooler scenario than that. So that's what I recommend. And then we've got, hold on one second. Right. Yeah. Hold on one second, guys. I'm pulling another question. Right. Yeah. Okay, so this is a question that we actually get more often than you might think, and that is, how do I plan out and budget my album? Okay, so you might have an entire album written, and now you want to figure out what is the most cost-effective way to record it. And our buddy Steve Palfreman, who popped in here a little while ago, if you go join his group Music Launch Hub at musiclaunchhub.com, you're going to have access to thousands of other indies who can help you with this question. But we're releasing some content on this very soon, so I'm kind of in the right position to talk about it. So I used to run a recording studio. I used to be the vice president of Studio 18 here in Orlando, Florida. Great studio, great people, great environment, and I loved it. Almost every second of it I loved. So I know a lot about where money gets wasted in terms of budgeting and planning an album. The number one place that money just falls out of your pockets when you go into a studio is preparation. If you are not prepared to where you know everything that you want to do and all you now have to do is just have the equipment live, that's the ideal scenario. If you're doing anything less than that, you are spending money in the studio. You could have just used that time for free at your own home or in your own home studio. So what I like to do is I like to get all my songs ready, and then I get rough production. So I get a scratch production of what I think I want it to sound like. I figure out all the instruments that I want to add it to, have my players ready. I have them figure out their lines, write them, and everything about the song is written down to the order in which we need to track instruments or vocals. So I have a plan going into the studio. I need to cut verse, pre-chorus, and chorus, and then second verse and second pre-chorus, and then bridge. So I'm recording those first. These should all take this amount of time, and then I have to record backgrounds on all those, and that's my hour of time. And I know for each session exactly what I'm getting done. I've listened to it in rough copy before, so I know how to project my voice. I'm not making any mistakes that I need to later go back and clear up. So the number one thing is planning. The number two thing is like scratch recording and then listening and then going back and making notes, and re-scratch recording and listening and going back and making notes. Because what you're going to do is you're going to figure out exactly how you want to perform it in the studio. And that way you're not going in there and doing your first pass or your second or third pass and noticing mistakes in your performance that you want to clear up in another session. So I'm making sure that every time I head into a studio, that's my final session, man. That is it. That is all I have to do. And that involves a lot of planning. And we're going to be releasing tons of content on this because it's something we get asked like a ton, more than I would have expected being a music marketing agency and education company. But it is a frequent topic of concern. So we're going to be releasing tons of free stuff on how to properly plan out. And I'm going to actually be releasing my PDF that we used to give to musicians coming into the studio before they actually started their sessions. So we wanted to maximize the value people got out of the studio, and we created a proprietary PDF to help people plan out their album and budget everything. And I'm going to be releasing that soon, so you can stay tuned for that. Let's get one more question before we hop off here. If you have one more question that you would like answered, please post it below. Otherwise, we're going to go to email. Thank you, Richard. Thank you for asking that question. I really appreciate it. Uno más, uno más. Okay, this question. Okay, I'm going to answer two questions because this guy asked two questions. Number one, do we still take on managing or promoting artists internally? So that's something I'm very excited to talk about because we have our 9 testing grounds artists, which is where we test out all of the strategies that we talk about and teach. And then we have a music marketing agency that's very private. So in the past, we've developed whole-scale campaigns for independent artists. Nino Bless, we worked with Chris Cannon this past year. And those are large engagements. They cost a lot. We're developing out a music marketing agency, a done-for-you service. And this isn't as like you hire us and we're going to just install everything for you, but for people who need specific help with stuff, we are going to be offering a service for that eventually. The problem thus far has been that it prices indies out. And when we started this company, the whole goal was, how do we bring people from dead broke, poor musician like I was to a level of success where they have a middle class income from music. That's the transition we're trying to make for thousands of indies. And at this stage, the before state, there's not a whole lot of money. So, I don't want to price indies out with a done for you service when the reality is that they're probably going to need to learn some things and apply them themselves before they can afford that kind of help. So we've tried to reach a happy medium between price and availability and feasibility. So that will be rolling out later this year. I wouldn't expect it anytime soon, but we are going to reach that happy medium, and we're going to be offering dedicated help when people need it. And then the second question, which is an awesome question, I never expected anyone to ask it, but it's a very valid question, is what aspect ratio do you recommend for video marketing on Facebook? This gentleman's taken the master course and he wants to know, should I be running square videos, widescreen videos, or vertical videos like this, like a full cell phone vertical video? Now, this is, I'm not gonna be able to give you a straight answer, but vertical videos are rad. They're becoming more and more a strategy that people use a lot, and they have higher conversion. The reason is because we are an increasingly mobile population. We are more and more doing everything via this phone. So when I'm scrolling through my news feed and I see an artist video and I click on it, it should take up my whole screen. If it does, I'm going to be much more pleased with the engagement. I'm going to be fully immersed, right? Now, square videos also work very well for the same reason, is because you can see more definition when you're on mobile. Widescreen videos, as we get more and more mobile as a population, are going to be less and less relevant. So if you can take your widescreen aspect ratio music video and make it a square video without sacrificing any information, or even if you can make it a vertical video, you're going to get higher engagement. And that's something that is kind of unexpected, but if you think about how we're communicating and interacting now, it makes a whole lot of sense. So in the future, and I mean, more and more as time goes on, we're going to be looking to change up the format of our videos. Maybe do shorter snippets of songs. Maybe do completely vertical videos, you know. The sky's the limit. And then also, whenever we're running ads, follow-up ads after a music video campaign, always square. Always square, sometimes vertical. It just works better. So if we don't have to run widescreen videos, we're not gonna, because they're just dead. And then furthermore, if we don't have to run highly produced videos, we can run more cell phone recorded videos, we will, because they get higher engagement, because music videos look like advertisements. They look like companies trying to market to you on your newsfeed. And cell phone videos look like what your friends already share. So that's the answer to that question, is that the ideal aspect ratio is square or vertical. That's what you want. You want either this vertical format like Snapchat, or you want a square video. And in the future, I think widescreen videos are only going to have their place on our TVs and not necessarily on our browsers, because we're just a cross-platform generation. We go from mobile to desktop to, you know, tablet. So there's no telling what someone's going to be on, and it's increasingly mobile as time goes on. So that's the answer to that question. If you have any other questions, or if you missed the live stream, what I want you guys to do is just pop your questions in the comments below. We're going to save them and bring them over to the next live stream next week, or I believe it is next week. We have another live stream happening next week, and we'll bring your questions in there. And then also join the Indiepreneur Indies group, the Facebook group. We're literally giving away free training in there that is going to cost later on down the line. It's in its infancy now, so we're just testing it out, QAing it. And if you're in that Indiepreneur Indies group, you get access to all the free training. So just search Indiepreneur Indies on Facebook and request access, and we'll let you on in there. And that is all. Thank you guys so much for asking so many awesome questions. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next time on the Indies Live Q&A. This has been great.